Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever this might find you in the day. Hope it's going great. Hope you're staying safe. And don't forget to have fun. We are pretty much through chapter 12 on the Roman Republic. Res Publica, meaning thing of the people. I got a little assignment for you to kind of like cap it all off. Kind of like similar to a test. And this is gonna be an open book assignment. I'll tell you at the end. I want to keep you stay tuned to the lesson. So what we did not get a chance to do was read the graphic novel short story that begins every chapter. Open up your books and say 61. 60 Juan. 60 Juan. 60 Juan. All right. Tullia's father saves the Republic. At 15 years old, Tullia must have been more proud of her father than ever. Marcus Tullius Cicero was the best lawyer in Rome. Definitely the best speaker and his daughter's hero. This year, 63 BC, Cicero had finally achieved his dream. He was elected to the Council of Roman Republic, one of the leading men. His election was a huge event for the whole family, including Tullia. Not to be confused with her younger sister, never mind. Her father had moved up in the world from a small town landowner to a big name, the biggest city of the world. Tullia and her father were close. She was the apple of her father's eye. Cicero wrote about her to a friend. How affectionate, how modest, how clever, the express image of my face, my speech, and my very soul, at a time when daughters were much less valued than sons. Cicero showered his daughter with affection. Like other Roman women, Tullia could not participate in politics herself. She could not even attend meetings at the Senate. But Tullia had a bird's eye view of the most exciting events in the Roman political world. Cicero was the master of Roman politics and must have passed his ideas off onto his daughter. Tullia knew that Cicero was a strong supporter of Rome's political traditions. Romans who struggled to save the Republic in his dying days. The Romans, they came for dinner and chatted with Cicero's clever daughter. Some elite Roman women carved out a role in politics by influencing the men around them. Tullia's mother, Terentia, may have been one of these. An account of the day, she noted that she took more interest in her husband's political career than she allowed him to take in the household affairs. Outside of politics, Tullia had more freedom. With an escort, she could visit her friends, catch her favorite show at the theater, shop in the Forum, or go to the temple for an important religious ritual. The year of Cicero's consulship was an exciting one for the Tullia family. For Tullia's family, Cicero's new office brought power but also danger. One of the men Cicero had defeated in the election his name was Catilina. Couldn't bear the loss. He plotted to kill Cicero, overthrow the Republic, and burn down Rome. He even raised his own army to attack the city. Cicero denounced his enemy in 4 magnificent speeches to the Senate. Catilina was forced to flee Rome. He fought an army sent out by Cicero and was killed. After consulting with the Senate, Cicero executed Catilina's supporters without a trial. Cicero had saved the day. He was a national hero, at least for now. Crowds cheered him in the streets, but his glory quickly faded. His enemies turned the people against him. They were angry because Cicero executed Catilina's followers without a trial. Cicero lost the favor of the Roman people. His enemies forced him into a lonely exile in Greece. An angry mob burned down his house while Cicero was abroad. Tullia and her mother wore black clothes. My goodness. The wind is something else down. This is a timeout. Something else down here in sunny Florida. It's a chilly kind of day today. You know, it's a kind of a cold 75 degrees. It's not the typical 85, 90. But somehow we'll get through it. Cicero lost back to the untimeout back here. Back to history. Cicero lost favor with the Roman people. His enemies forced him into a lonely exile in Greece. An angry mob burned down his house. While Cicero was abroad, Tullia and her mother wore black. But the family's fortune suddenly changed once more. Soon enough, Cicero was on his way back to Rome. His powerful friends had him called back from exile. Cicero lived to fight another day, but the sweetest part of his triumph may have been seeing his devoted daughter. Without enough money to travel comfortably or a proper escort, Tullia made the long journey from Rome to southern Italy to greet her father when he returned to his country. Alrighty. After reading that, I think I do remember we read that in class some time ago, but it's fun, it's good to read again. If you're watching right now, I want you to comment below as to what the temperature is down here in Florida. So, thinking about the whole chapter, in section 1 it says it's called The Rise of the Roman Republic. Remember the year 800 BC sticks out in your mind, correct? Okay, that was when everything started to kind of come together, and then you have Rome, and you have the Alps, and you have these hills and stuff like that. First off, before going into that, let's think about the geography. Remember geography, we think about the natural features that define the area. Okay, it had plentiful rivers that had 2 main mountain ranges, one down the back of the boot, the other one at the top of the boot. Okay, on the back is the Apennines, and on top is the Alps, which provided for good natural defense. Not as fractured, not as split apart. Okay, I just ate some tortilla chips and I put cheese on them, made nachos. It was the bottom of the bag. So a lot of the chips were kind of like little crumbs, small little thingies, and they're all spread out over the plate. Okay, they were not unified as one chip. Okay, Italy is more unified as one chip as versus Greece, which was kind of fractured and hard to get from place to place because of their mountains and their river. Italy was more homogeneous, is that the right word? More together, okay? Uniform. Get from place to place. But that's not to say they didn't have any mountains or hills. They had Rome was founded on 7 hills, okay? And the most important hill was called the Capitoline Hill, and that was the tallest. And remember the dispute between Romulus and Remus, okay? They were raised by she-wolf in the wilderness. They grow up, one kills another. And the city grows. Natural advantage is the Rome is located on which river? Not the Potomac. Susquehanna. Nile. Tiber, by the Tiber River. It started as a monarchy, went to a republic. We talked this morning. It was good to see some of you guys this morning on the Zoom Galley conference, the noon Zoom. Read the story of Cincinnatus, who he took power. Okay, he took power because, or no, it didn't take. The people of Rome asked him to take control. They asked him to take control because they needed help. And he was a guy who got things done. It was around 450 BC, right? And it was already, all the time of kings and everything like that and monarchs was in the past. Now, they're on to the time of the Republic. Okay, they're about 50 years into the Republic. But they needed one guy. They needed a temporary king to go and call the shots, make decisions, and to defeat the savages from the north. And Cincinnatus did that very successfully. He was only ruler, king, war king, dictator for 16 days. He could have come back and be like, I get it done. I should be the king, for life. But I think as Cade remarked today in Zoom, he was thinking of the best for the Roman people, and the best for the Roman people was not to go back to what they used to have, the monarchy, and it was to keep the republic or the thing of the people in place, because it seemed to be, I guess, going pretty well. All right, flip it over to section 2, government of the republic. Remember, is it an oligarchy? Is it a monarchy? Is it a democracy? A republic of Rome? Not really. It's got a combination of all of them. You have it in your notes. We talked about it for a while back when we used to go to school on campus together. Review that. Take a look at that. Okay. The toga is a symbol of citizenship. Next time we meet, who's going to wear the toga? Flipping through here. Place of honors, Roman example. Roman society, remember. Okay. Men and women. Okay. Men definitely ran the household. It was a patriarch. Pater means father. That sort of society. The man led the society or of the household, right? Agriculture was huge. If you had money, you lived on a farm, you produced crops. That was like the main industry of most Romans, was to farm. Slavery was a real thing back then. I think it was as many as 40% of the people of Rome by the year 1 BC were slaves. Almost half were slaves. And there was that great story about Spartacus. I hope you enjoyed that one. It's one of my favorites. Oh, baby. Final section, Carthage. Okay, what a story about Hannibal. Okay, we talked about it at length. It's really one of the more remarkable stories, and the fact that how Rome survived that and how Carthage, I think, botched it. Okay, how they messed it up by not giving Hannibal the troops that he needed. It really showed that the Carthaginians in Carthage in northern Africa are not the best military commanders and leaders. What they were, but Hannibal was kind of the exception to that. If you look at the Carthaginian history and stuff, they're not really known for a lot of their military commanders outside of Hannibal Barca. They're definitely, and they didn't really support him when they really needed him. When he sat outside of Rome for 10 years? Maybe it's 7. It's between 7 and 10. It's a long time to sit there and sit there and sit there with his men. He was, I guess, smart enough. He was shrewd enough. He was a military athlete enough to know that he didn't have the manpower to go and attack Rome. And he asked, appropriately, of his compatriots back home in Carthage, and they said no. And then we kind of know what happened. Scipio Africanus gets his name by rising up and defeating Hannibal. And then from a republic to an empire. All these civil wars, Marius and Sulla getting at each other, Caesar and Pompey dueling. Okay, Caesar crosses the Rubicon. Pompey wanted Caesar to disband his army, which means to get rid of his army and come back into Rome without his men. Why do you think Pompey wanted him to do that? Without his men? You think he might be easier to physically overcome and defeat? Yeah, that's right. Pompey was plotting to kill Caesar once he came back into Rome. Meanwhile, Caesar was basically over in France, taking over all of France and all the way up to England, really, for the past like 7, 8 years, and for the name of Rome. He crosses the Rubicon. Okay, he comes back into Rome, fights Pompey. Pompey goes down. Caesar, dictator for life. That worked out for a little bit. Then the people, the established political folks, power of the day, it's like, oh my gosh, we're going back to a monarchy? 500 years of a republic? But those last 100 years of the republic certainly weren't very peaceful and pleasant, full of lots of civil war. And then Augustus rises, who goes on to be named, Octavian is named Augustus. And then from then on out, it's an empire with one, sometimes two, but mostly just one person at its head. So I guess Caesar was right. Et tu, Brute. Et tu, Brute. What does that mean? Put that in the comments. Your homework is... Whoops, daisy. Open up to the section, the chapter assessment. Chapter assessment on page 3A4. I want you to do on a piece of loose leaf. Number 1, 3, 5, 6, and 7. 1, 3, 5, 6, and 7. Okay. In your notebooks, and I'm sorry, on a piece of loose leaf, all these assignments, put them somewhere safe in a folder. I will grade them when we see each other again. Restate the question and put your answer in complete sentences, please. I hope you have a great day. I miss you. But I think everything considered, we're doing all right. Stay safe and don't forget to have fun.